The New York Knicks drop game 2 at home in the Garden against the Detroit Pistons. They give up their home court advantage. It's now 1-1 heading into Detroit. And for the Knicks, they are in an absolute dogfight. And for me, as I'm watching this team in the first round, everything that I've thought is coming to fruition. Everything that I thought about this New York's team, it's coming true. I have thought so many different things about this team coming into this year. How can they contend in the Eastern Conference with this reloaded squad? Let's rewind a little bit here before we dive into this entire situation with New York. The last 2 seasons, they've been competitive. 47 wins 2 years ago, 50 wins last year, the 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. And they get to the semifinals where they are just so banged up. This team is obliterated, and they lose in game 7 to the Indiana Pacers, but they kind of get a hall pass because they were so banged up. They lose in game 7. They were only 1 game away from making it to the Eastern Conference Finals where they would have played Boston. Now, will they have beaten Boston? Heck no. But that doesn't matter. They would have gotten to the Eastern Conference Finals, a place that they haven't been in so long. And that's all this franchise really wanted to see. Now you have kind of a painful offseason because you were that close to making it to the Eastern Conference Finals, but at least you have hope. You trade 5 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges, a guy that can maybe get you closer and shrink this gap to Boston. You trade Julius Randle, Dante DiVincenzo, and a first-round pick for Karl Anthony Towns. Now you get a stretch 5 center who can help you on the defensive side of the ball, but can really space the floor for this squad. But now you're looking at a really dangerous team of Jalen Brunson as the head of the snake, OG Anunoby, and Mikal Bridges as these 2 solid wings, and now you have Karl Anthony Towns as the 5. And these moves this offseason were to shrink the gap with Boston. And in the regular season, there was no shrinking of any gap that I saw at all. The New York Knicks were 0-10 against the top 3 teams in the NBA. They were 0-2 against the Oklahoma City Thunder. They were 0-4 against the Boston Celtics, and they were 0-4 against the Cleveland Cavaliers. I saw this and thought there is no way that this team is going to do anything in the Eastern Conference. They have massively disappointed so far. I felt this way in the regular season, and everybody called me crazy. Bro, they won 50 games. How is this massively disappointing? The New York Knicks thought that they could contend for a championship this year. They made these moves to shrink the gap with Boston. They didn't make these moves to win 50 games. Every New York fan can tell you this right now. Did you have championship expectations coming into this season, or at least expectations to compete with Boston, to contend with Boston? Not to just get obliterated by every good team in the NBA. It's ridiculous. I don't know how you could feel good about this season winning 50 games. You're the 3 seed. Fast forward to the postseason, you're in a dogfight game 1. You're losing the entire time. And if it's not for a 21-0 run in the 4th quarter that makes everybody kind of lose their breath and their hearts stop for a little bit, if that doesn't happen, they don't win game 1. Now you fast forward to game 2. All right. Hopefully that was just because of the rest. You get that week off before you head into the postseason. Oh no, it wasn't rest. These dudes from Detroit are legit. Cade Cunningham is a dog, and he was taking it to New York all game long, had 37 points, was there when you needed him, was there for every big-time bucket, and he put New York away in the 4th quarter. And now this series is 1-1 as we head to Detroit. If I'm a New York fan, I've got a really uneasy feeling about this series. I felt that the Knicks would come into this postseason with so many different question marks, and this would really bog them down and force them to play tight. I look at the question marks that are looming around this team. If they lose in the first round, will Tom Thibodeau still be the head coach of this squad? I don't know. If they lose in the first round or if they lose in the second round, can Jalen Brunson be the best player on a team that wins a championship? I don't know. And I felt like with the moves they made this summer to shrink the gap with Boston, to contend in the Eastern Conference and to contend for a championship, that with this kind of disappointing regular season, that they would play tight and that these questions would loom large heading into the postseason and they would not be the same team. And they have not looked good. Karl Anthony Towns, 0 points in the second half in game 2. This is why the Timberwolves got rid of him. This is why they got rid of him, ladies and gentlemen. They did not feel that Karl Anthony Towns could be the second best player on a team that wins a championship next to Anthony Edwards, not to mention how much he costs. That's why they got rid of him. You saw the Western Conference Finals last year. He was nowhere to be found in that series. Nowhere to be found against Dallas. Game 2, 0 points in the second half. I just have so many question marks about this team. And now they're going into Detroit, playing a team that has nothing to lose. Detroit was not given any chance this season. They've had one of the biggest turnarounds from a 1-year period in NBA history. They increased their winning percentage from like 30% last year. JB Bickerstaff was thrown to the curb last year from Cleveland, given a shot in Detroit. I didn't even think this would work. And now he might be the coach of the year. This whole thing is just insane. Detroit, Cade Cunningham. You have scrappers on this team. Malik Beasley, Duren, Isaiah Stewart's going to come back now in this series. Thompson, they have dogs on this team. They don't care about how pretty New York is. They don't care about Jalen Brunson and all this flopping. They don't care about Karl Anthony Towns. They are taking it to them every single game, and that's what I appreciate so much about the Pistons. And for New York, can you steal home court back now? You're an underdog heading into game 3. All the pressure in the world is on New York. Detroit's just going out there and playing basketball. I can't imagine how insane that arena is going to be in game 3 and game 4. When's the last time they've had a postseason game there? They haven't won a postseason game in 15 years, and they just won one. I feel so great for Detroit, but for New York, I can't help to think that this is one of the most disappointing years potentially in franchise history. Potentially in franchise history. Championship expectations. A very solid starting 5. On paper, one of the best starting 5s in basketball. Jalen Brunson, OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, Karl Anthony Towns, Josh Hart, Deuce McBride on the bench, Cam Artis-Payne. I mean, this is a good team on paper. And they really aren't that good. They're not that good. And I want to put it as plain and simple as that. This New York Knicks team, let's just say they beat Detroit, which I don't think they will at this point. I think Detroit's going to get them. Let's say they prove me wrong here. And they've proved me wrong and get to the semifinals where they'll play Boston. Sweep. Gentlemen sweep, whatever. They're not winning this series. Come on now. They're not beating Boston. 0-4 against them in the regular season. 0-4 against Cleveland. 0-2 against the Thunder. I don't know how this ends in a positive light for New York after this season. And the fan base has to be frustrated. They have to be frustrated. You won 47 games 2 years ago with Jalen Brunson as your best player. You won 50 games last year with him as your best player. You were the number 2 seed. You had those injuries in the semifinals, but you thought at least, okay, we've got some life heading into this year. You don't beat anyone good in the regular season, but you win 51 games. Okay, you're the 3 seed. Well, we matched up with Detroit. Inexperienced team. Let's just take advantage of them here. Oh, man. I smell an upset brewing, ladies and gentlemen. I smell an upset brewing. But for me, I can't help but think how disappointing this year has been for the New York Knicks and these question marks that are going to loom large into the summer. Will Tom Thibodeau be the head coach next year? What are they going to do with the Jalen Brunson situation? Can he be the best player on a team that wins a championship? I don't want to answer that question. That's for the management to decide. But this is going to be a really fun series. Regardless, it's been a great series so far. As a basketball fan, I can't help but love it. I think this is going to go 6 or 7 games. But New York, man, you guys are in some trouble. You guys are in some trouble. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Caden Kubler. See ya.